If you're experiencing this, you might be transforming into a vampire. Good news is, this is great for your longevity being a vampire. But if you would rather enjoy the sun and not be immortal, I think I have some information that can help you out. Hi, I'm Sage. It's great to be here with you. I'm here to be your source of cutting-edge wellness information to help you find answers and become happier and healthier along the way. Please support us by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. It only takes a second and does so much to support our tiny family business. As you may know, I am deeply passionate about supporting you, not just with educational information, but also by offering some amazing products that I develop for our company. You can find a link down in the description below to our website with the world's healthiest gourmet chocolates, delicious elixir blends, and the purest, most potent adaptogens. With polymorphic light eruptions, some people develop a sensitivity to sunlight and it causes them to break out in a rash. This usually develops in the mid to late 20s, sometimes going into the early 30s, so that they first have this experience. And this usually happens during the spring and the summer when you first start getting a bit more sun if you haven't been in the sun during the winter time. And it decreases in frequency through the summer. But then as you then go through the next winter and you're not in the sun very much, it's most likely going to happen again the next year once you start getting a bit more sun exposure in, say, late spring, early summer. And so my first thought here would be, what if you didn't only get sunlight exposure during the summer? What if you really made an effort to get out into the sun even in the wintertime for 20-30 minutes, get a bit of vitamin D, and continue maintaining the ability of your skin to be in the sun? So you could go through this summer and yeah, you might get a bit of this eruption, but then you could just, if you stay with it and continue getting continual sunlight exposure through the year, you don't have to go back to square one every year at the start of the summer, and your vitamin D levels and all the things that does to your health are really going to thank you. Now, you also want to rule out chemical-induced photosensitivity. This is if you're putting something on the skin that is going to react in a harmful way when it's exposed to sunlight. So you really want to do a careful inventory of any of the creams, lotions, oils, etc. that you maybe are putting on your skin and make sure that none of those is actually the culprit. Now, let's say you live somewhere that you can't practically get vitamin D all year round, or you can't get out in much sunlight year round. Let's say you were living like in Canada or something like that. Well, in that case, I would say get a UVB vitamin D lamp. This is a way you can get much of the same benefit of sun exposure through those UVB wavelengths. Keep giving your skin that little bit of stress from this exposure and build up your vitamin D levels through the winter. And that's a great tool to have. You can also think about using a different wavelength, which is near infrared. And I would use this in a different way. They've actually shown that near infrared light exposure early on in the day helps to have this effect of preconditioning the skin so it's less likely to be damaged by UV exposure later in the day. So there's lots of near infrared, generally LED based devices that you can get, and you could use those earlier in the day on your skin to help precondition it for exposure to some UV rays later on in the day. And these things, you don't have to just do that. You could do multiple things. You could bring together multiple aspects of these different approaches here. Now, interestingly, this is not all about things that we're going to do from the outside in. There are some ways that we all want to look at this also from the inside out. So there was a study that found that 12 weeks of taking a supplement that included lycopene, beta-carotene, and a specific probiotic strain called Lactobacillus johnsoni. There's probably some guy with the last name Johnson who discovered it and wanted to have it named after him. This significantly reduced symptoms after exposure to UV wavelengths of people who were having these polymorphic light eruptions. So lycopene, of course, this you can make yourself a really great tomato soup, or you can get a lycopene supplement, of course. Beta-carotene, this is coming from things like carrots and of course many other plant sources. And then Lactobacillus johnsoni, this is a probiotic strain that is a bit difficult to find. I will put a link down in the description to the only one company I found that actually had a probiotic product that contained this strain. Now, disclaimer, I don't know anything about this company. I have not looked in depth into all aspects of this product and the manufacturers of it. this just happens to be the one company that has that probiotic strain available. And the reason we're looking at probiotic strains here is because there's also another area of hypotheses about this polymorphic light eruption, and it may not actually be your fault. It may be the microbial communities living on your skin that are reacting badly to this sunlight exposure. UV-induced damage to microbial communities of the skin, leading to a cascade of events that eventually brings about this skin rash. So it may actually be your topical skin microbiome that is causing these problems. Also, posted to clinicaltrials.gov, I found that in the summer of 2021, there's a filing for a future study that they're planning to do in Austria, where they want to basically sanitize the skin and completely eliminate the microbiota of the skin and see if this stops the polymorphic light eruptions from happening. The study hasn't been done yet, but basically they want to see, okay, if we remove the microbiome, which of course is not a long-term solution, but if we remove the microbiome, then do we stop having problems here? And that would indicate that the microbiome is playing a huge role, that these bacteria are getting angry and leading to a cascade of effects that brings out this rash. And more research is also finding that polymorphic light eruptions are often coinciding with autoimmune conditions. So whenever we're talking about autoimmunity, we want to focus on gut health, stress, and sleep. So those are three areas that I would really put a lot of attention on if this is something that I was dealing with. So I hope this information has been helpful for you, and I hope it brings about some peace and tranquility to your skin so you can enjoy some fun in the sun and all the beneficial effects of sunlight exposure. And before you go, here's a link to a video that I think you would enjoy watching next. And here's a link to a video YouTube thinks you would enjoy watching next. And up here is a link to our website. Have a beautiful day, guys, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time.